tax authorities, they are going to look at the substance of that transaction, because if it's a business transaction and somebody is putting money for diapers, you are wasting your time. They are not just going to look at the narrative, they are going to look at the substance. When we talk about side hustle, we are talking about informal kind of businesses, freelancers. Before now, those categories of persons, they hardly pay tax. But under this new tax reform, the government has designed it in such a way that these people are now brought into the tax mix, meaning they will now begin to pay tax. So you ask me how?
Yes, how? Yes, so we're at the studio right away, and we have our host already here. First off, my name is Adeniran Oshin. I am the host, and I have with me Mrs. Timiyo, Patience. So, Ma, you're welcome to the podcast, Ma.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. A whole lot of things have been discussed about this tax in Nigeria, and a lot of people are confused somehow. And glory to God that you came to the Singles Forum program last 2 Sundays back, and you really broke down a lot of things. Although a lot of people have a lot of questions to ask, and that's why we are saying that let us have a follow-up discussion around this matter of tax. And for those that were not around, we talked about be tax smart. We want every Nigerian to be aware of what the tax is all about and how to play their role in all these things that is on ground. That's why we have a lot of questions that will be put into her so that she can make it so simple and for every single person to get one information or the other. All right. And in case you have a friend that needs to hear this, I would prefer you to share this link right away as you are watching, so that other people can benefit from the information that will be shared. So, all right, let's go into the questions that we have on ground. Okay. So let me quickly do this. There is one here that I have as, what exactly is tax? Because many people have been hearing the word tax. What exactly is tax, and why should young Nigerians, care about this matter of tax?
Okay. First of all, I would say tax is a charge. It's a financial charge, or you call it a levy. It is levied by the government to its citizens, or what we call the taxpayers. It is mandatory. It's not negotiable.
Okay.
It's mandatory. It's not negotiable, and it's on a percentage.
Okay.
Percentage of your income, of your sales, of the value of your property, whatever it is that is being taxed. Then another thing is, tax is also used like a form of regulatory tool for behavior. For example, you have taxes on use of alcohol. Alcohol tax, some form of consumption tax. So like it's plays various roles, generates income for the government, and also helps to regulate behavior or things that the government want to see in the society. So that's what tax basically is about.
Wow. I believe that you are really learning, because it's more educating with what you just said. I believe so. All right, so let's quickly move to another one. So at what point do a corper, freelancer, or a young Nigerian or an entrepreneur, come into that place of, or that person is legally required to pay tax in Nigeria? At what point?
Okay, as soon as you get to the age of 18 years of age, you are earning income up to 800,000 naira per annum, you are liable to pay tax. Because that's like the threshold now under this new tax, reforms. You pay tax once your income is above 800,000. Personal income tax come in, and they apply the progressive rate on that amount you are earning from 7% to 25%. It's a graduated tax. We call it progressive rate because it's progressive in the sense that the higher you earn, the more tax you pay. So that's why it's progressive. So once that person is up to 18 and is earning money, 800,000 and above per annum, he will start paying tax.
Now, I think a lot of young Nigerians have issues with the aspect of 800,000. Now, I would want us to, if you can help us to break it down. Now, that 800,000, does it mean that if the person is earning 800,000 per month, or the person is earning 100,000 per month, then after 8 months, then the person has crossed a threshold of 800,000? Can you just give a practical example of it so that somebody can be helped?
Okay, 800,000 per annum means your total earnings for that year.
Okay.
Is 800,000. So if you break it down, it's about like 70-something thousand a month. And if you are in Nigeria, that is like the minimum wage. The minimum wage is 77,000 a month.
Yes.
From 800,000 and above, you can be paying tax. Meaning that if you are earning the minimum wage, which is 77,000, you will not pay tax. That's what it means.
Wow, I think that settles. How would they be able to calculate my 800,000 or this and that? Now you see. So even if you are a core member, 77,000. So that means that at the end of the year, you'll be totaling 900 and something thousand. At the end of the year, 77,000 times 12. That would be 900 and something thousand.
Of course.
So that means that the person has passed the threshold.
Yeah,
of
but by the time they take off some of what we call allowable deductions, you see that the person may not pay any tax. So we'll get into it as you're asking your questions, you would see
allowable
deductions. Yes, there's some deductions from the earnings that they will deduct before your tax will be calculated. So if they deduct those things, there might be nothing left for you to pay tax.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so let's quickly move to another one. There's one I have here. It says that many youth run side hustles, online, offline. Are these income taxable? And how does the government even track them?
Okay. When we talk about side hustles, we are talking about like informal kind of businesses, freelancers, and all that. Before now, those categories of persons, they hardly pay tax.
Okay.
But under this new tax reforms, the government has designed this in such a way that these people are now brought into the tax nets, meaning they will now begin to pay tax.
How?
So you ask me how?
Yes, how?
So long as you are earning money, like we said, you are earning money. Yes. That money you are earning is taxable. You have a bank account, which that money goes through.
Okay.
So through the bank account, the government gets information on those, financial activities, and that is how you are going to be able to, come into the tax net. Because if you are doing a certain amount, the banks they have the mandate to report it. That so people, these are the transactions in their account. So it gets to the tax authorities, with which they will now calculate the tax that you are liable to pay. So that's how they come in.
So there's nobody that will be doing a side hustle that will not go through bank transactions.
Exactly, except you are just doing cash. You are not doing any bank transfer.
It's harder to do cash. You have to do transfer.
Exactly. Whether it's this fintech, your money point, your OPay, Kuda, whatever, so long as it's going through a banking system, you will be liable to pay tax.
Wow. So to those of us that want to cut corners, you can see that the government is ready for us. All right, so this one is a very interesting one. We have a lot of Nigerians who have different beliefs about tax, and it says here that what myths or wrong beliefs do young Nigerians commonly have about tax that get them into trouble later?
Yeah, there are a lot of myths, especially since this new tax act came into play. You hear people saying a lot. In fact, I have someone gave me some of the things that are out there on the streets. They have myths about bank accounts, just as you act and transfer. Yes. Someone says every bank transfer or deposit, including personal gifts, transfers, salaries, will be taxed automatically. That's what is out there. But that's actually a myth. Wow. The reality is that tax is only imposed on trade, employment income, investment gains, not gifts, not personal support. You are your parents sent you money, your uncle sent you money. It's not going to be taxed. That's a personal gift. The support, maybe this person is not earning as much, somebody is supporting him, is not going to be taxed.
Wow.
So the government, the tax authority, they have ways of knowing which is income and which is not income. And if even they make a mistake, you have the right to go and substantiate and say, no, this is a gift from my uncle. You know, so that's actually me. Then we also have things like your narration. When you're sending money, make sure you put a certain narration so that it will not be taxed. That's a myth. Because it's not going to be based on narration. The reality is that the tax authorities, they are going to look at the substance of that transaction.
Okay.
Because if it's a business transaction and somebody is putting money for diapers, you are wasting your time. You know, they're not just going to look at the narrative. They're going to look at the substance. They will ask you to bring, you know, claims, maybe receipts, maybe evidence that, you know, by then they will be able to get it, to get to the bottom of it. So personal, non-business inflows, they are not taxable. They are not taxable. So it's not by narration, you know, what you write on your transfers that will make it liable to tax or not. No.
Okay. All right. So to those of us that we have been saying that, okay, use this money to buy food stuff, use to buy a recharge card, and you're sending 100,000. All right, so I believe that that has been sorted out. All right, so there is another question here. It says that, how does tax payment or non-payment affect opportunities like loans, visas, government contracts, and employment?
Yes, it does. It does. For example, if you are going to apply for a loan, part of the documentation you'll be asked for is your tax clearance certificate. And you cannot get a tax clearance certificate if you've not been paying tax. So it's important. Then visas. If you are going for a work visa, maybe where you are traveling to is for work purposes, you would need to show that you are a tax responsible individual here in your country. Because over there they take taxes, but you know, it's very important. So they will also ask you for your tax clearance certificate for business, for work, except you are just going for tourist visa, just for vacation. Yes. Then for contracts, you are vying for a contract or renewing an already existing contract, they are going to ask you for your tax clearance certificate. So it's very important. It's very important, especially now with these new reforms. Government is making sure that everybody pays tax they are supposed to pay, you know, that you are supposed to pay. They don't want to tax poverty. If you are not supposed to pay tax because you don't have, they are not going to force you. It's those that have. So if you are going to do a contract, then you must be seen to be paying tax and things like that.
But it is mandatory that everyone has a tax
clearance certificate. It's mandatory when you are going to apply for something. Visa, contract, loan.
Okay. That's very nice. But another one says that, what are the major changes introduced by the current tax reforms? And why did the government feel the need to reform the tax system now? Why?
Okay. If you listen to our last the seminar on the tax summit at the TSF, I gave like a background information on how this tax reforms came about. Before now, we have what we call the multiplicity of taxes, meaning there were so many taxes. Federal government were issuing their own taxes, the company income tax, excise duties, custom duties, and all of that. State government were also having their own entertainment tax, liquor tax, tenement rates, operational permits. Local government also had kiosk rates, business premises rates, and all of that. So they now came together and said, okay, how can we harmonize? Because the truth is, it's the same taxpayer that are paying all of these multiple taxes. So the aim was to harmonize these taxes, make it more transparent, because most people were complaining that they don't pay tax because they feel that their money is being used, mishandled, misappropriated, corruption and all that. So okay, now we are going to bring about a more transparent system, harmonize the taxes, make it more transparent, make it easy for people to comply. So those are part of the reasons why these new tax reforms came, just to solve all of this problem and generate more revenue. Because maybe I forgot to mention, one of the reasons why tax came in the first instance is for able to generate funds to provide amenities, infrastructure, education, roads, and all of that. So it is taxpayers' money that is being used to fund these things. And you know, Nigeria, we are complaining of all of these amenities. We don't have it. It's not working well. So the government said, okay, one of the ways we can make our country work, let's increase the tax revenue so that we'll have more money to provide these things that our citizens are actually crying for. And because of that, everybody's leaving, everybody's jacking. So we don't want people to japa. Let them stay here, enjoy these amenities. Let's generate funds from taxes and create these amenities.
Thank you very much for all you have shared so far. So I have another question that is very, very beautiful. It says that with increased tax enforcement, what common mistakes are youth and startups making that could attract penalties or audits?
Yes. The first mistake that you can make is failure to register. You're a taxable person, you're up to 18, you're earning money above 800,000 in a year, but you've not registered for tax, you don't have a tax ID.
Okay.
That failure to register attracts a penalty of 50,000 naira for the first month that is noticed. And if you continue to fail to register, subsequent months you'll be charged. So it's like a cumulative penalty. So the earlier you notice it, you just run to go and register.
Please, if you are watching this and you have not done your tax ID, please go and do it. It's very important.
The next one is failure to file tax returns. As an individual, you're working, you should file your annual tax returns by the 31st of March of the year following that tax year. For example, now 2026, by 2027, 31st March, go to before the 31st March, make sure you have filed your tax return for 2026.
Okay.
That also attracts a penalty. If it's a business, it's January 31st. By January 31st of 2027, you file your tax returns for 2026. Those also attract penalties. Failure to do it. Then another one is if you change your address, change of location. Maybe you registered in Warri, you now relocated to Port Harcourt. You didn't notify the tax authorities and they find out, you also be slammed penalties.
Hey.
So there are many others, but just take these three now. Take these three now. These three are what is common among people. Yes, those things attract penalties.
Wow. Thank God for this podcast. Seriously. Okay, that aspect of tax ID and relocation of a thing. Okay, I've gone to the tax website. I have gotten my tax ID. But I was not told to add my address and the like. So how come it will not be an issue when I change location?
When you are registering for tax ID, your address is part of the requirements.
Whoa.
You put address.
I'm trying to remember if I was asked. Because I already have my tax ID. I already have it.
For when you are trying to get a tax ID, you must have put in your NIN, right?
Yes.
Your NIN has your address.
Yes.
So that's
okay.
information.
Wow, that's eye-opening. That's eye-opening. That's eye-opening. In case you have any friend that has not done it, please encourage the person, because you can hear the fine that it will attract in case if you don't do it. Okay, let's move on. So let's have this one. Do the current tax reforms make it easier or harder for startups and side hustlers to grow in Nigeria, and why?
Yes, that's a good question. This current tax reform actually makes it easier for startups, especially in sectors like agriculture, ICT, that's technology, education, because the government is trying to encourage people to go into these areas. So they gave tax breaks, tax holidays, tax exemption. For example, if you are into agriculture or you are producing food stuffs, you are farming or food process, anything food, you have a tax holiday as a startup for 5 years. You don't pay any tax. Then education, if you are into education, tuition and educational materials are tax-free.
Wow.
Then technology also tax-free for a certain number of years for startups. So it actually makes it easier. So if you want to go into anything now, maybe you're trying to come up with a business idea, you're also thinking of tax, you're thinking of how to grow, look into these areas where there are tax holidays and exemptions that will help you to be able to grow. You actually are not thinking of tax. All your money, you can use it to grow your business and scale your business.
Wow, that's nice. That's a very good one. I think I would like to say kudos to the government.
Yeah. They should be giving that thumb up for these new things, because a lot of youths are looking for what to do, and they're like, what can I do aside from my regular job and all of that? So this is like encouragement. We need these sectors to be boosted.
All right, that's a very good one. Thank you so much for that. I have another one here. How can young people legally reduce their tax burden without evading tax?
Yes, just as I said,
yes,
if you want to reduce your tax burden, there are things you should do to take advantage of what the government has put in place in these new tax reforms. Aside from going into these areas that are tax-free, there are certain deductions that we call them tax-free deductions, meaning that if you earn a certain amount, before that amount can be subjected to tax, there are some deductions that will be made that are allowed. For example, if you have a life insurance, the premiums you pay, they are tax-free. If you are registered with the National Health Insurance Scheme, the premiums you pay, they are tax-free. Wow. If you are into the pension scheme, whatever you pay, whatever is paid as pension deduction from your salary is also tax-free. Even voluntary contributions, like if you are registered with any of these pension providers, pension fund administrators, PFAs, they have what they call voluntary contribution. That is an amount that you can contribute towards your pension aside from what is statutorily required. That amount is also tax-free. So you can do all of these things just to avoid paying tax. Because by the time they deduct all of these things, there will be little or nothing left for you to pay as tax. So that's a way of evading this tax without breaking the law.
Then let me say something. I could remember that it was said that people in the crypto world also will be taxed.
Yes.
And everywhere is everywhere is buzzing around that. So, but how do they intend to tax people in that sector? Because according to the way the crypto is designed, it looks as if that government does not know how money goes in and money comes out. So how do governments intend to tax the crypto?
Okay, so cryptocurrencies are digital assets. Digital assets, they have not been, income from that area has been brought into the tax net. Your investments in Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever digital assets, NFTs.
Yes.
So long as your dealings, your transactions are still going to go through your regular accounts, either through fintech or normal, regular banking system, the government will still be able to track it. Because fintechs, regular banks, they'll be given the mandate to report financial transactions that qualify for tax. So that is how they are going to be taxed.
Okay, so, but I could remember a few years ago when there was a ban on the crypto scene, people were still able to do peer-to-peer transactions. And when somebody wants to send you the money from maybe an asset that you sold, the person will add maybe money for peanuts, money for coke, money for this, money for that, and eventually the transaction was basically from selling an asset, a crypto asset. So looking at that, I'm still curious if that will still work with the tax system that we have on ground currently.
Okay, remember you've asked a similar question about narration.
Yes.
And I said the government is not going to tax you based on the narration of the transaction, but on the substance of the transaction.
Yes.
So they have a way of going back to the source. It's a financial system, so they have a way of going back through technology to know where this money is coming from. So by the time they get the substance of that transaction, they will know it's an income and it will be taxed.
So no matter how you try to hide yourself or how to do this, how to do that, the system of the tax rather, has come to stay. So all you just have to do is just to legally do what you're meant to do, so that you can avoid all manners of things. All right. So thank you so much for all the questions you have been answering. These are really, really beautiful ones that, must have brought enlightenment, or has brought enlightenment to the people who are really watching right away. So let's look at another question. All right. So we have, this one is very important. It says, what role does tax play in nation building? I believe that you have really mentioned part of it since, but there is a part of this question that I really want you to focus on. It says, and how should young Nigerians balance civic responsibility with government accountability? That's the place I really want you to focus on.
Okay, civic responsibility for Nigerians, young Nigerians, is about paying your taxes and not breaking the law. Now, government responsibility is to protect the citizens, provide amenities for the citizens. And that is part of the reason why tax is being charged, so that government can generate revenue with which they could fund these public amenities and infrastructure. So if the government is doing their part, we as a taxpayers, the citizens, we should do our part by paying our tax. So if that is done, I believe the balance will be there, but sometimes it calls to the question, will government really do their part?
Yes.
So for me, I always answer that question by saying, who is the government? The government is you and I, because it's from among us that the officials come out. The officials are the government officials. So if we are law-abiding, definitely those among us that come out to man these government offices, they will also do their part as law-abiding citizens too.
That is wisdom for someone. That is wisdom for someone. Wow, you have really answered that question perfectly well. So let's do just a few more. What practical steps should a young person take today to become tax compliant without fear or confusion?
Okay. So for you to be tax compliant, the first thing to do is register for tax. Get your tax ID. Get your tax ID. If you follow some of my videos, I made a video on how you can obtain a tax ID. If you go to any of my videos, Book Charity Consulting, Patience Timiyo, you could check it out. The process is there. It's simple. Get your tax ID. After you've gotten your tax ID, make sure you file your tax returns.
Okay.
As an individual that's working and taxable, you file your tax returns 31st day of the month of March for the year following the tax year.
Is that
for
the
example,
deadline?
yeah, that's the deadline.
Okay.
For example, 2026 tax return filing will be due 31st of March 2027 for individuals.
Okay.
If you are an employer, 31st of January. So by January 2027, 31st of January 2027, you are an employer, you own a company, you have to file your company tax returns for 2026.
Okay.
That's the deadline.
Okay.
File your tax returns. Then we also mentioned about change of address. If you have a change of address, be sure to notify the tax authorities that you change your address. File your tax returns, get your tax ID. Make sure notify them of change of address. If you have a business, make sure you keep proper records of your business transactions. All of these things, if you are complying with it, you are good to go. As the time goes on, whatever is necessary, the tax authority will notify you and you comply. So it's I don't think it's too hard to do.
Because this there is a lot of fear in the heart of the people.
Yeah.
So at least with the way you have highlighted them, it's something that it is easy to actually, and like I said, I have done mine in terms of getting my tax ID, and it didn't take me 5 minutes getting my tax ID. So since it's already automated online, something.
Yes,
Just insert your
automated.
NIN, and before you know it,
Yeah.
you are done. So viewers all around the world, please be law abiding and try as much as possible to get things done. It's very easy. Like I said, I have done it personally. I've gotten my tax ID. So you need to also get yours. What do? Just go online, go to the website, and easily insert your BVN. Before you know it, you get your tax ID in minutes, not hours, minutes. You get yours. So let's do the final question. It says that what final advice would you give to singles and young adults who want to build wealth and still stay on the right side of the law?
Okay, I like that question. It's interesting because you mentioned the word wealth.
Yes.
Everybody wants to build wealth. So I would say for a young person, you want to be law abiding. You also want to build wealth. Be tax compliant. Like we said, register for tax, pay your tax, file your tax returns. If you want to build wealth, you need to put in place things that will ensure that your money stays and multiplies, because that is wealth. And what are those things? For you to be tax compliant, ensure that you take advantage of those things that will help you to reduce your tax liability.
Okay.
We talked about things like insurance, life insurance premiums. We talk about health insurance. If you have all of these things, it benefits you and at the same time reduces your tax, responsibility. So put in place these things that you are benefiting from and is also reducing your tax. So the second is networking. The power of networking, strategic relationship. If you are at the right place at the right time, you get opportunities. The next is the power of solving problems. That's what we call the Joseph principle. Joseph solved a problem, and we know where he ended up.
Yes.
Solve problems that people have. It helps you to get value. People pay for value.
Yes.
That's the third. Then the fourth is investing and saving. If you notice the solution that Joseph gave to the Egyptians, what did he tell them? He told them, for 20 years, save 20% of what you produce. And they did that, and you see how they survived the famine. People were coming to them, and they were able to amass wealth to themselves. Then the last, which is I won't say the most important, but very important. We talked about networking. We talked about diligence. We've talked about solving problems. We talked about
what's the fourth one now?
Just what I mentioned now.
Value.
Solving people's problem, you have value. Then the last is prayer. Prayer is very important. It is in the place of prayer you get ideas. You get directions, you get guidance. So this is just, by the way, is what I tell young people. If you have these 5, you are sure to multiply your wealth, be tax compliant, be law abiding, and you are good.
Viewers all around the world, I believe you have been equipped with the right information. And this is where we'll be wrapping it up. I believe you enjoyed the session, you enjoyed the podcast. Yes, we'll be right here on your face next time. So, this is the Singles Forum podcast, and we'd love to hear from you. Do well to like, do well to comment, and do well to subscribe. Also, turn on the notification button. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.